What do you guys feel like is going on in the original argument? Can anyone wrap it up for me? A nice Christmas package.
Well, there are a couple of conditional statements. The first
Yes.
one is if they satisfy two conditions.
Yes, if they
taught with
satisfy two
methods.
conditions, what are they?
Taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles.
Okay, appropriate methods.
Yeah, and the second one is devote significant efforts to their studies.
Okay, and they
And the
devote.
outcome is the students achieve broad mastery of the curriculum.
Okay, so appropriate methods, and they devote energy or something like that.
Yeah.
Effort. Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
And
Then they will achieve broad mastery.
Mhm.
Okay, they will become masters. Okay, I'm going to simplify this. I'm just going to say appropriate methods and effort. Kind of makes sense, right? If you're given the right methods and you put in the effort, then you're going to master the subject matter. That's the idea. Okay, thus, if such broad mastery is not achieved, okay, so thus, if we don't achieve broad mastery, then it must be because they were not being taught with methods appropriate. So they were not appropriate. What do you guys think about that? If they didn't achieve broad mastery, does that mean for sure that they weren't taught with the right methods? No. What could have happened? They didn't put in the effort, right? Like, hey, I gave you all the tools you needed. Just didn't put in the effort. Now, I don't know if that would relate to anything that we're thinking about right now, but this is very possible, right? It could be true, but it doesn't have to be true. So, if you were to fix this argument, what's something you would say? Because they're asking us to prove the conclusion, right? This is a sufficient assumption question, which means that we're looking for an answer that's going to make this true. What you can say whatever you want. How would you make it that this is the necessary outcome? That it must be true that if someone didn't achieve broad mastery, they must not have been taught with appropriate methods. Yeah?
If A led to E and E didn't happen, then neither A nor E would have happened. Hold on, I take it back.
How
That doesn't
about
make any
this?
sense. Yeah.
Let's think about it in just an intuitive sense. So someone comes in and says, hey, good methods and effort, you're going to achieve mastery, right? Oh, these guys didn't achieve mastery, so they must not have been given the right methods. And we're all thinking, well, wait, maybe they didn't put in the effort. So what could you say that would get rid of that problem, right?
They did put in the effort.
They did put in the effort. Or everyone always puts in the effort. That is never a problem. If that's never a problem, then if someone did not achieve broad mastery, it must have been because of the methods, right? Sana, is that what you're thinking? Yeah. So that would be my prediction. It's just like an intuitive prediction, but it's like, okay, basically everyone puts in the effort. If that's true, then this conclusion now makes sense, right? Okay, so answer choice A, as long as secondary school students are taught with the methods that are appropriate, they will devote significant efforts. In other words, if you're given the right methods, you're going to devote the effort. That means, answer choice A, if you are given the appropriate methods, you will devote the effort. You don't feel like this is the right answer.
If it's no, just kidding. I read the actual question wrong. Sorry.
So wait, hold on one second. So what happens if someone is taught with the right methods? What will happen? They will put in the effort, and therefore they will master, right? The subject matter.
Wait, if they're taught with the right methods?
If they're taught with the right methods, according to answer choice A, they are guaranteed to put in the effort, which means they will definitely master the subject matter, right? So if someone did not master the subject matter, according to answer choice A, could that person have been taught with the appropriate methods? Hold on, I feel like there's a lot of confusion. So let's try, maybe the diagram is actually messing us up. You guys remember that the solution to this argument, the way to fix it, to make it work, is to basically say everyone puts in the effort. If everyone always puts in the effort, then if someone doesn't achieve broad mastery, it's got to be because they weren't taught with the appropriate methods.
Right.
Are you cool with that?
Yes.
Answer choice A comes in and says, hey, look, as long as you're taught with the appropriate methods, then you're going to put in the effort. So, just pause for a half second. If someone is taught with the appropriate methods, according to answer choice A, what is going to happen?
They're gonna put in their effort.
They're going to put in the effort, and then what does that mean?
Mastery.
They're going to master it, right? Because according to the original premise, if you are taught with the appropriate methods and you put in the effort, then you achieve broad mastery. So according to answer choice A, if you are taught with the appropriate methods, you're definitely going to put in the effort, which means you're definitely going to achieve broad mastery. Now, let's keep answer choice A in our minds for a half second. What happens if you find out that someone did not achieve broad mastery?
Well, you know that the sufficient condition wasn't satisfied.
The sufficient condition wasn't satisfied?
Wait, did you ask what happens if someone doesn't achieve?
Yeah, if someone doesn't achieve broad mastery, so they didn't understand the subject order, right? Is it possible for them to have been taught with appropriate methods?
Yes.
According to answer choice A, no. Because what would have happened if they had been taught with appropriate methods?
Then they would have put in effort.
They would have put in the effort, and then they would have mastered the subject matter, right? So if someone did not achieve broad mastery of a subject, then at least according to answer choice A, there is no way they could have been taught with appropriate methods. Because if they had been taught with appropriate methods, then they would have mastered the subject matter. So, if answer choice A is true, the conclusion has to be true. Here's the way to, now, I was trying to do it intuitively, and it seems like that clicked for some of us. If you draw it out, answer choice A says, if A, then E. What's the contrapositive?
If not E is not A.
If not E, then not A, right? So, according to the original premise, if you do those two things, then you will achieve broad mastery. What is the contrapositive of the original premise?
Not A or not E.
Not A or not E. Let's talk about it intuitively. If you don't achieve broad mastery, then it must be the case that you either weren't taught with appropriate methods or you didn't put in the effort, right? Because if you had done those two things, you would have gotten broad mastery, right? So, if you didn't achieve broad mastery, then at least one of these things must have happened or didn't happen. But the conclusion was messed up because it only said not A. But if you add this contrapositive right here, right? What happens? When you don't achieve broad mastery, you either have not A or you have not E, but according to this, what does not E actually mean?
Not A.
Not it.
It means not A as well. So if you don't do M, then you don't do A or you don't do A. In other words, bottom line, you can't do A. So that's the diagram way of getting to answer choice A as the correct answer. But I feel like it's easier and faster to try to just think about this intuitively. Depends how your mind works, I guess. But Will, question.
No, I'm just sort of processing.
Processing, yeah. So
Yeah.
notice what I did. I just took answer choice A,
Yeah, no, I
found the
get it.
contrapositive, and put it into a statement that must be true given the original premise, right?
Right.
This is just the contrapositive of the premise. The contrapositive of the premise is a statement that must be true if the premise is true, and we have to accept the premises as true. The problem is that the contrapositive is different from the conclusion, right? The conclusion was a little more constrained.
I just don't get how those two add up to make that. I don't
How
get how A
these
and
two
the
add up to make that?
No, how that and that add up to make that.
How what and what? These two?
No, how A and the conclusion add
Answer
up,
choice A, which
Yes.
is this.
and the conclusion from the statement
Okay.
combine to
get
make the
this?
legitimate answer.
Oh no. I'm not combining this and this to get this. I'm combining this and this to get that. Because our goal is to prove this. Right? It's a
Right,
sufficient
yeah.
assumption question. So if I take this if then statement and I put it right here, It basically says, look, if you get not E, you get not A. So
So
if,
no matter what, it comes back.
no
to-
matter what, it's going to be not A.
I got it.
And that's what the conclusion ultimately said, right? So these two things together equal that. Sound good? Okay, so that's why A is correct. What answers do we choose?
I chose C.
Thank you, Cole. C. Secondary school students do not achieve broad mastery of the curriculum if they are not taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles. In other words, if not A, then not M. But we're trying to prove not M, not A. Right, so it's sort of like a false contrapositive of that, which doesn't help us. Answer choice E. These students who devote effort do not always. Ooh, that's not good. But did you pick this one? No, who picked this one?
Which one?
Not E.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah.
Because I just randomly chose.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't know what made that.
Russian roulette. Answer choice E is wrong because not always, Courtney. Ozzy, this is it's not really helpful in a sufficient assumption question because
I underlined that.
not always means like, okay, sometimes they don't, maybe sometimes they do. And we're trying to prove this conclusion so we can't have any like gaps.
Right.
You know? Like, oh great, well, that's not always the case, but what about the cases when they do that? If they do.
What about B?
B. Even if students are taught with methods appropriate to their learning style, they will not achieve broad mastery of the curriculum if they do not devote. This is basically saying that devoting significant effort is necessary for broad mastery. Right here it's saying if you do these two things then you're going to get broad mastery. But what this is saying is not only are those things sufficient, but you really have to do significant effort. If you don't do significant effort, then you won't achieve broad mastery. So saying that significant effort is required doesn't help us here because, in fact, if you don't achieve broad mastery, then maybe that's precisely because you didn't do the effort, which is required. Like it would need answer choice B to be correct. It would have to say, if you're not, no, that would be the same as C. I don't know how to fix B, but all that B does is turn effort into a necessary condition. Like you have to have that. Yeah.
I'm sorry to revisit this. I guess my confusion here was like, I read the question as if broad mastery is not achieved. So the conclusion is if such broad mastery is not achieved by students in a particular school, those students are not being taught with methods appropriate to their learning styles. So I thought the conclusion could be properly drawn if you assume that students also aren't being taught. All students like don't devote significant energy to their studies. Like I thought that was the flaw. Not that we weren't proving A, but that E wasn't included.
That's the flaw, but they're
Right.
asking us to fix the argument. So we recognize the flaw and then we try to remedy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we remedy it by improving the statement in the. I know this is so.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Like,
No, that's fine.
So we're trying to improve this statement essentially.
We're trying to prove the conclusion.
Gotcha.
So, in your words, improve the last claim,
Okay.
right? The thus claim.
Right.
And the way to do that is to take answer choice A
Mm-hmm.
and insert it into the premises of the argument
Right.
and say, okay, if I insert that in, will it now make the conclusion follow logically? Because notice the language of the question. The conclusion can be properly drawn if which one of the following is assumed. In other words, if which one of the following is added to the premises in the argument. So that's why I wanted to take answer choice A, add it to the contrapositive of the premise, which is something we already know to be true, and then say
Gotcha.
that those two things combined do force this outcome. They do
Right.
force that to be true, and so they make the conclusion properly drawn.
Because this is saying if they have A, then they will definitely have E. So therefore, if they don't have A, they don't have E. Oh no. So
No,
if they
therefore,
have
if
E,
you don't,
have E.
if you don't have E, then you don't have A. So either way, you don't have A.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, that just, whew, it's been a day.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
that's what's so lovely about the LSAT. You go to work, you come home, and you can just do little mind puzzles.
Yeah, that's,
Put your little
that's
mind into a
lovely about
kerfuffle.
it, yeah.
Okay, cool. Are we good with this one?